Iguanas are wreaking havoc on the Sunshine State. The number of iguanas in Florida has soared in recent years, and scientists say climate change could be to blame.
They have powerful jaws, sharp teeth, and they use their tail like a whip.
Rising temperatures and weather fluctuations are putting millions of species at risk of extinction.
99% of rabbits, fox, opossum, raccoons have been wiped out completely.
Because of the Burmese python.
Specifically because of the Burmese python.
As their food supply in the Everglades dwindles, these snakes are on the move. And experts say climate change is further expanding the python's habitat.
But they got there in the first place because of humans just releasing them into the wild.
Yes, and the reality though is with invasive species that once they work their way into an ecosystem, it is almost impossible to get them out.
So if these invasive animals are such a big deal, what's being done to fix it? Well, some context is needed before we start discussing the issue. Iguanas, for instance, have been spotted in the state of Florida since the early 1960s. In recent years, however, their population has grown exponentially. Not only do they do damage to properties, but they also wreck the natural ecosystem. Here's a graph showing the impact that the iguana had on Bill Baggs Cape, Florida State Park. As you can see, the green iguana population, represented by the green line, was relatively low from 2001 to 2002, not even reaching 50 individuals. But from 2002 to 2003, the iguana population exploded to over 800 individuals in Bill Baggs State Park alone. Now look at the raccoon population. See the trend yet? The raccoon population flatlines from 2003 to 2004, picking up slightly in 2005, only to drop again in 2006. When people hear about invasive species harming the natural population, many of them tend to think that the intruding species only affects the animals that it preys on. This is obviously not the case, as shown by the raccoon population statistics. Adult iguanas regularly outcompete other species for territory, food, and shelter, mainly because of the iguana's largely aggressive and territorial nature. These three factors are the main reason for the devastation of Florida's wildlife, as well as the iguana takeover. So how did these exotic animals get into South Florida? Well, it's a simple explanation. The pet trade. Remember how iguana sightings became more and more common in the 1960s? Well, around the same time, it became common to see baby iguanas being sold in pet stores. People purchased these animals when they were small and easy to handle, but as they grew older, their behavior starts to change. They go from being skittish or even mundane little lizards to aggressive and extremely territorial adults. Their demeanor isn't the only thing that changes. They also grow to be 6 feet in length. Equipped with razor-sharp claws, skin-shredding teeth, and a tail that can be used like a bullwhip, the inexperienced reptile keepers couldn't handle their animals anymore. So, they released them. Now, many experts agree that it is impossible to completely remove the iguana from Florida's unbalanced ecosystem. It's important to remember that not all reptiles are bad. In fact, many species make great pets. This is my 8-year-old male bearded dragon, Rocky. Bearded dragons are widely regarded as the best pet lizard to keep, especially if you're new to the hobby. This is due to their generally relaxed attitude, low maintenance cost, and easy care requirements. Because of their personalities, they are normally great to handle, even for kids. Regardless, if they're kept well, they can be great little pets. Remember how I mentioned that baby iguanas are sold in just about every pet store, and most states allow anyone to legally purchase one? Well, the same can be said for my 1.5-year-old male Chinese water dragon, Jade. I've wanted a water dragon since I first saw one in a pet store at the age of 12. I knew how important it was to research animals before getting them, so I went home to learn as much as I could about this new reptile. At the time, I was disappointed to learn about the care requirements that the Chinese water dragon demands. For instance, water dragons consume an absurd amount of food, so much so that I had to start a dubia roach colony in order to afford keeping Jade fed. Water dragons also require large enclosures. As you can see, the enclosure that I built is about 2.5 by 4 by 6 feet. The animals also require large pools of water that either need to be changed daily or cleaned by expensive filters. This species is also sensitive to environmental conditions. If there's not a high enough humidity, for instance, water dragons will develop respiratory infections. Chinese water dragons are also semi-arboreal, meaning they spend most of their time in the treetops. As such, they have sharp claws attached to large, powerful arms and legs to help them traverse through the forest canopies. Much like the iguana, Chinese water dragons also have strong jaws and large tails that they can whip in order to defend themselves. Except, water dragons don't typically share the same aggressive temperament as green iguanas. As you can see, I wear protective gloves because even if Jade doesn't intend to hurt me, his claws will still cut through my skin, leaving red scars the majority of the time. Now, I knew what I was getting into before purchasing Jade. In fact, I look forward to the challenges he presents as I enjoy building things and I enjoy working with large reptiles. The problem is that pet stores don't regulate who can get what animal. Therefore, many people who aren't capable of providing adequate care for water dragons and other reptiles end up impulse buying them. In Florida, for instance, iguanas and many other large reptile species are able to be purchased without restriction, even though the environment is suffering from their released relatives. I understand that some experienced reptile keepers can provide great care for their pet iguanas, so I'm not suggesting any kind of ban on the animal. I'm simply proposing that some kind of permit or proof of capability be required before purchasing these animals. An online course, similar to a boating license, would virtually eliminate the amount of reptiles that are purchased on impulse, mainly because people will be required to leave the store in order to research the species that they are interested in. Additionally, people will be encouraged to take better care of their pets because of the information given in this course. The course would also teach people about the risks of buying animals from an unknown breeder, like a pet store. Therefore, the demand for these reptiles would decrease, reducing the need for large reptile mills. These mills are known to treat their animals extremely poorly, keeping most in cramped tubs for the sole purpose of reproduction. The best way to change these terrible circumstances is for a law to be passed by Congress, requiring people to attain a simple permit in order to purchase more advanced reptile species. In order to propose such a law, people need to reach out to their Congress state representative, asking them to recommend the law to the rest of Congress. Therefore, simply spreading awareness about the issue is also an essential step in reducing the amount of non-native animals in the wild and animals in abusive reptile mills. In conclusion, exotic animals like the iguana are far too accessible to the general public. While it wouldn't be fair to ban ownership of the animal, people should be required to show proof that they're capable of caring for the reptile. Like I said before, I've been owning reptiles for 8 years, and I feel like I've had a lot of experience with these animals. So I hope that my passion is reflected in this essay. I don't mean to discourage anyone from getting reptiles, as I think that they make awesome pets. But I do want to warn people against some species that are particularly difficult to handle. Anyway, thank you again for your attention, and I hope that this video helps spread awareness for this issue.